Hi folks, welcome back to another session of Create and Sip with me, your artist Coleman. I'm going to paint through this sun and moon painting here with you today. So I hope you've got all of your materials together. We're going to be painting on a 16-inch by 20-inch canvas. I'm going to be using a palette of very simple colors. We've got white, light blue, dark blue, yellow, red, and black that we'll work through. We use the yellow and the red to create some of the orange that you see up and through here. And then most importantly, we can't create and sip without our sip. So hope you have everything together. We're going to get things started here, and we're going to start with our background. So I've got my three brushes that I normally use. I've got my large brush, my 1-inch wide brush. I've got my 1/4-inch brush, which might be a 1/2 inch, and then my little liner brush, little Clyde there. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start by putting a little bit of water in on our canvas there. That way, as we blend these colors in, the paint will remain wet enough to be able to blend for easier. What's really nice and fun about this painting is we're going to do some gradation as we work from the inside to the outside here, and we'll do that by mixing those colors. So it's important to have, that paint staying wet as long as it can. So I'm going to lightly mash my brush in my jar here, knock out some of that excess, and then I'm just going to start by, I'm going to even practice my little circular strokes here. So I've got some water running down through here. That's all right. We just don't want a bunch of water. We don't want it to just be dripping everywhere, but it's a nice warm spring day here in Joplin. So my canvas is actually absorbing that water fairly quickly in through there. So before that all dries up, I'm going to start in with some white. And I'm actually going to load both sides of my brush with some white there, and starting just north of center there, I'm going to start by making just a circular ball of white. Now it doesn't have to be too big, but you want it just big enough so that you've got this space to be able to go and mix your light blue in. So I've got my light blue. I'm going to grab a little bit of that, and I'm going to come to the outside edge of where I laid in my white, lay that blue in through there, and then as I gradually make my circular strokes towards the center, it mixes with all that white that I put in there and gives us a nice light tone of blue. So we get that nice gradation of a light blue into a darker blue. Grab some more of that blue, and now I can work my way from the outside further out. Push that paint towards those outside edges there. Oh, how about that? Painting's leaking off the wall. See how long it stays there now. We won't even edit that out. So I'm going to bring that light blue on around, and you can break it up into sections as you paint through this. And if you need to, you can always rotate your canvas around to get to the certain edges without having to strain your elbows or your shoulder or anything like that. The last thing I want you to do is end up with an art-related injury due to painting and everything. So, if you need to stretch that shoulder out some. So I'm going to continue working my way out to the side here with that light blue, and then I'm going to eventually grab some of the dark blue and mix that in there with it too. And I'm actually going to start doing that with this section up here on this side here. I've got a little bit of that light blue. Just a little bit of dark blue is all you need to start blending that in. You get too much and you've got to work through that. So I start with a little, add more as I want to, as I need to, and I can bring that dark blue on out towards my edges. So I'm just going to overwork some of that paint in through there to get that blend to look really nice. The more you work that color, the more those will blend. You'll lose some of those brush strokes that you get in through there, but you can leave the brush strokes if you like them, because what that does is it creates a painterly look to it. And by painterly, I mean that you can still see the brush strokes that you put in through there. And that's all right to have that. Some artists work really hard to make sure that you see the brush strokes that they put in. Others, they work really hard to make sure that you don't. And really, that's just you and your option, your choice on what you'd want to do for that. So I'm going to bring some of that dark blue up into this other corner, and then I'm going to start working down on that other side. As you get to your corners here, this is what we call a gallery wrap canvas, which means the staples are on the side, the back, not on the sides. So as you come around, you can paint those edges. Right, and we're just going to continue to paint those edges around. They don't have to worry about them matching necessarily, as long as everything looks fairly consistent around from your edges to the front there. No one's really going to look around the sides and be like, hey, that's not quite matching perfectly. Yeah, that's all right. Don't worry about it. And if they've got a big problem about it, then they can paint along with you next time, and they can do that on theirs. So we're going to paint it all the way around here. We're going to bring those darker colors out towards my sides there. I'm going to grab just a little bit of that dark blue and a little bit of the light blue. That way I can kind of mix those together right through there. And as this paint gets drier, I'll actually be able to put on like darker colors of it. And if you get some little swirls and little lines in through there, go with it. Add it to it. If you don't like it, wipe it off with a wet paper towel, let it dry, and paint right over the top of it. And I'm going to try to remember to paint my edges as I go along. Sometimes that's a hard part for me to remember, I know. And so I'll just end up painting it a solid color later. That's all right. So just keep working around. If you need, grab a little bit of water on your brush. Make sure you tap it onto your paper towel. Get some of that excess moisture out of there. And just bring that on around. I'm going to rotate this over so I can get to this other edge here. Have a sip. Cheers to you. Light blue, a little dark blue. And let's keep mixing those all in through there. And a little white too. If you need to lighten some of that up. It adds a little variation into the colors there. That's good. So now I can probably flip this over, focus just on this bottom section here. My canvas is dried some, so it's really drying my paint a lot faster than it was before. So I'm having to work really quick to push that paint across the canvas there. You can add a little bit of water as you need to, again, to thin that down some. All the way down in my corners and get my edges. I need some more paint. Not quite enough dark blue to get me through the whole background here. Pretty dang close though. How about that? Give it a little squirt here. So I like this darkness in through here, and it's a little bit of black that's added in through that. Now if you like, you can go with a little bit of red in with that dark blue. Not a lot of red to start really, and it creates a deeper blue, kind of like a dark purple, and you can utilize that to make that kind of somewhat darker. And again, if you let your paint dry, and then you add some more paint over the top of that, you'll get a deeper, darker hue. All my edges around the sides here. Some of those aren't that clean. So I am going to take just a little bit of black. It doesn't take a lot of black at all to darken this up in through here too. And you just make it as light or as dark as you want, you know, and you can get to the top corners too. Again, even just putting on another layer of the dark blue, it's going to make that a little darker. You can add the red to create the purple. Or you can go in with the black and paint it in with that. That choice is up to you. I show you all the different possibilities and you choose the one that you like the most. I'll go with make it darker with red, make it darker with black, make it darker by just putting more of that color on. You do it the way you want to. The next step that we're going to work on is going to be to make our little moon and sun in through here. And as I look at it, I may be a little too light up in this area. So I won't have enough contrast for my moon when I go in through there. So I'm going to grab a little bit of that light blue and some white. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to darken up the inside of my circle just a little bit. Just a little bit so that I can see my moon against all that. I don't want to disappear into the background. I'm going to make some nice swirls. I'm going to bring some of that color back out to the outside. Swirl back in. There we go. Let's step back and take a look at that. See what I think. All right. So something you can do if you've got a lot of wet paint in through here is if you have what I call a state-of-the-art paint drying system, which is, you know, in your home you may call it just a regular old blow dryer. And just give it a quick dry. Doesn't take long usually to dry this acrylic paint, so give it a quick hit with the blow dryer, and then you can come back in and paint right over the top of it. Now if you do go to touch it and you get paint that comes off on your fingers, it's most likely still wet, so make sure that it's dry before you get started in on there. So we're going to be adding some yellow into my sun up in through here, and white in for my moon. Now adding some white for the sun will help for that to stand off the blue of the background, adding a little primer color underneath there. So what I can do is take a little bit of water on my brush, a little bit of white, and I can start by finding that shape of my moon to start. And then I can find where my sun is going to sit right there. This is where I can take a little bit of yellow with my white. And fill that sun in. You start from the center and work your way out. That's actually an easier way to fill that in. That way you're not having to worry about making, fitting in a circle. You can actually make it bigger from here. Now any of this little outside edge here, I'm not going to be too worried about it if you can see it some. Because all this other stuff is going to attract your attention to it. Alright. So as I'm laying my sun in, I'm realizing I've forgotten an important part of this whole project. So as I'm painting this night sky, there's usually stars in the sky, right? So there's stars in this one here. There's some nice fun little splatter stars. as well as some of these drawn stars in through here. So whichever way you want to do them, I'll show you both ways. I'm going to start with my large brush, rinse it out, take a little bit of white paint on the tips of the bristles there, and then I'm going to hold it at a 90-degree angle. I'm not going to hold it at an angle like so, because I'm going to drag my finger across through there and make that paint splatter off. So if I hold it like this, it's going to splatter right onto my canvas. Hold it like this, it's going to splatter off and over. So from there I can just spritz some here on there. I'm going to hold it closer so you can see that happening. So you can kind of see those little splatters, those stars on through there. So you can add as many or as few as you want. If you get some big old splatters on through there, maybe that's a constellation or a star system. You're painting, you decide what you want through there. Now I'm going to add some of these little hash mark kind of stars in through there later. After I get everything dialed in, then I can strategically place those where they will look the best. So I've got my background stars in through there. Rinse that brush out again. And then go back to my medium brush here. So I've got a good part of the sun put in through there. I'm going to start with my moon here, start filling that in. And I'm just looking for basic shapes right now. I'm not worried about, this nose or anything like that in through there. I just want good old half moon and then a little bit of a full sun there. And I'm going to paint my sun in so that when I go back in and paint the nose of my moon in through there, it'll sit on top of the yellow of my sun. Again, you can add a little bit of white to your yellow if you need to. It's just not opaque enough to cover up that background. Okay, so from here, I'm not going to worry about my nose yet. I'm going to come in, I'm going to create some of these swirls and curls. And with that, I'm going to rinse my brush off a little bit. I'm going to grab a little bit of white, maybe a little bit of yellow, and I can come in and really just have some fun making these. So you can twist your brush to help create some little thin lines. You need to use your little Clyde brush, your little liner brush to help make these. You can. I'm going to use my medium brush as much as I can for a lot of this. And it's alright if they are varying width on these lines. You get some really fun things that can happen in through that. So a little bit more white than yellow in some of these, and just add them in all around our sun and moon there. So as I continue on through here, just change them up in any shape and direction, and put a few of them in here and there. Now as we get through some of these, I'll go ahead and show as you can add a little bit of more yellow into little sections of them, and then sometimes just the tiniest small amount of red, and get that orange to happen in through there. You get this nice gradation of a light into an orangish and then on into a red, and you can have some fun with each one of these. It gives you a different opportunity for each one, and as you get a little bit of color on your brush, you can spread that around without having to grab too much of one or the other. So So remember, if you put something on there that you're not really quite the happiest about, you've been cleaning your brush off onto a paper towel here, and like this section here, say I don't like it. Well, how about that? I just pretty much erased it. And then I can go back in and paint over the top of it. Some more did that for example than for necessity. Add these in here and there, wherever you want. You can have those come off the edge, too. If you've been painting all that along, paint right over the edge there. I'm going to put in a bunch of these yellow and whites first. And then I'll add some more of this red and yellow, or yeah, red and orange into it. It's nice to have a little variety in the colors as you go in through there. And I am adding a little bit of water to my brush at times. Thins that paint down, makes it flow off of my brush a little bit easier. So I'm just going to continue working my way around, taking some of those off the edge there. I think that really adds a lot to it. Gives us some nice dynamics, taking it off and over the edge of the canvas there. You can wrap that around too if you've been doing that, or you know, if you're going to paint it a solid color at the end. Make a nice big swirl down here. I like how this yellow sits off of the blue. There, it looks really nice. And if your blue was still wet, you would get a green that would show up over these yellow marks that you're making on here as it mixes in with it. I know some paints, they're kind of very powdery, even when they're dry, kind of like a tempera paint. So even if it is dry paint, you may still pick up some of that pigment and it make, you know, your colors change some. Add a few more of these and then I'll start adding my reds and oranges into them. Short one right here. So I like that. Maybe one right here too. Okay, so now adding some yellows and reds. You can grab a little bit of your colors on your palette there. You know, if you're using a paper plate or something, you know, you just a little bit. You just don't need to mix a lot. You can kind of then gauge it from there. You know, do you need more red or yellow? And then just add it right to it on the canvas. No sense in making up a big old batch of one color if you're going to use it in just a few little spots. It's so easy to just add a little bit of one color to another and mix them right on the canvas there. Oh, I got a little red and white there, nice little pink. I like that. So I'm going to keep it. You play with those colors. You know, you get that red and yellow and you add some whites to it. You can get some peachy colors. So you can really kind of play and create a bunch of different colors just from red, yellow, and white. Many, many shades of pinks and oranges and peaches. easily do a gradation from a white to a yellow to an orange and into a red. Just mixing those up a little bit here and there. Go back over some spots. It's like ruby red grapefruit right there. Edges, bring that down in. Lots of fun little stuff here. Again, I am adding just a little bit of water to my brush here and there. Tapping it onto my paper towel to get some of the excess water out of there so I don't create a little drizzly drip. So let that dry for just a little bit and we'll come back in and add to our moon. All right, so most of this has all dried for us now. We can go in with some more of that white in through there and make our moon really stand off of our background really, really well. And it's got a little bit of blue mixed in through there. So if you like, you can let some of that blue of your background show through. Or you can even add some blue in through there. So I'm going to take and give him his nose right through there. Doesn't have to be a perfect looking nose. Just a little triangle that sticks out over the sun there. Just like so. And then I'm going to add a little bit of some blue to him, right around in his face, and then also to really kind of outline his nose and where he meets up with the sun there. So a little bit of white, a little bit of blue to blend that through so it's not like any hard lines. But I'll come in and I'll do some of these more harder lines with the liner brush. So I'll get him in like so. All right. So I'm going to add a little bit of some orangish color over on this side of my sun. So a little bit of yellow, a little bit of red. Just a little bit is all you need over there. That's kind of my shadowed side of the sun, even though the sun doesn't have a shadowed side, like a dark side of the moon. I don't get too crazy on making that too orange and red. So rinse that medium brush out. Then come in with my liner brush, a little bit of water on through there, and it comes out to a really nice tip in through there. So what I can do is I can start off with a little bit of blue and really hit those points, or with the point of my brush, make those really sharp lines to really outline the nose, that portion of the front in through there. Take a little bit of red and put some lips on my sun. Little lumps there for the top of the lips, and then bring it all under for the bottom one, and it kind of looks kind of like a heart a bit. And don't worry if it's not perfect to you up close. Take a step back. From what you're seeing here, you don't see the little things that I see up close. So there are some issues that I have with where I put my paint and my lines. But I know that from a distance, you're not going to notice it all that much. So I'm not going to worry about it all that much. So I still got that bit of red on here. I'm going to give my my man in the moon here as if he's kind of blushing. And I didn't even use my finger to rub in some of that red there. Now with just a little bit, you know, it's not a lot of red on there for him. I don't want him to look like he's wearing any rouge or anything. So now I'm going to go in with the black on the tip of my bristles. I've been working through these colors. I didn't really rinse the red off. I used a lot of it, and then the black is going to take some of that off there too. So I'm going to give him his little smile right here. Again, if you need to, a little bit of water. You don't want too much. A little bit thins that paint down. And then I'm going to give him his little closed eye here. And his eyebrow. And then we're going to give some eyes to our sun there. So we're going to start with this one here. And then this one here. And we'll give her some eyelashes in on those. Really all you need is just a couple little strokes out through there. You know, even just two. To give lashes, and then we'll give her some eyebrows up over the top of those lovely lashes. Alright, so we touch up some of those little spots if we want to, need to. But I think they look good. I'm going to step back, take a gander at them from a distance here. Yep. Now I'm going to put my little stars in. And those stars are simply made by just making a cross and then putting an X through that. You can make them in different colors. You can mix colors together. You've got the blues and the reds if you want to make purple in through there. And again, a little bit of water to thin that paint down, and I'm just barely touching the bristles to the canvas there to get those little fine lines. And you can have these anywhere you want, as many or as few. And again, you can change the colors of them if you like. I'm going to fill in a couple of these little blank spots. Once we get these painted in, then we will take a step back, see if there's any things that we want to add to it. And when we're happy with the way it is, then the last step is to put our name on it. Put one in here. Maybe one more up in this corner here, somewhere. Oh, right here where I got the darkest. There. Very nice, very nice. And it looks like it needs one right here. All right. So that looks good to me. I like mine. If you like yours, then call it DUNN. Done. Make sure you got all your edges. If you need to, you can go back through and paint them a solid color if you like. And other than that, then the last step is putting your name on it. You can use your brush. I like to cheat and use a handy dandy tool called a Sharpie marker. And as long as your paint is dry, you can sign anywhere you want. Bottom left, bottom right, you can sign on the side, you can sign on the back, anywhere you want. But do make sure you sign it so that someone else doesn't take it and claim it as theirs, because they'll get the $300 and you won't. So I do hope you had fun painting with me on this painting, and do hope to join you again for another paint along class here at Create and Sip Studios. So have yourself a wonderful day and enjoy having fun creating.